of lakes, city of peace and tranquility. We normally associate the city with an old world charm, the scenic beauty. It's a rather unusual setting for a crime. Or is it? Let's find out in our next session on crime thriller set in Bhopal, where Professor Vinita Dhondiyal Bhatnagar and Dr. Pradeep Kapoor will be in conversation with Dr. Jyoti Pande. I request our authors and discussants to grace the stage. And in this session, ladies and gentlemen, we have not one but two book launches. Professor Vinita Dhondiyal Bhatnagar, Dr. Pradeep Kapoor, and Dr. Jyoti Pande to grace the stage. A revenge saga dripping with lust, abuse, intrigue, suspense, and friendship. She is a spine chilling thriller that challenges the very concept of crime and punishment. I would also request Mr. Vikas Raheja to grace us and to join us on the stage. Four murders, same modus operandi, a beautiful woman, split radial arteries, and six alphabets ABERSU, soaked in victim's blood. What do they mean? Well, the police is not able to find her because she doesn't exist. The book authored by Dr. Pradeep Kapoor. She. Dr. Pradeep Kapoor did his schooling from the Scindia School, Gwalior, a gold medalist and topper of his MBBS batch, a pediatrician by profession, and a writer by passion. He has authored 10 books, including his work of fiction, namely A Tale of Two Nights, The Last Ball Six, The Honeymoon, and Hoppy the Hitchhiker. His books on parenting have been translated into 7 languages. He's also collaborated on 3 short films produced by Simple Idea Productions. Abhilashji and Niharikaji, I would request you to join us again for another book launch. As I mentioned, we have 2 book launches, and this one is Zaira, Vikasji, Abhilashji, and Niharikaji. Zaira, authored by Professor Vinita Dhondiyal Bhatnagar. Ladies and gentlemen, these 2 books are being launched. This is the Central India launch of She and Zaira. In Zaira, Professor Vinita Dhondiyal Bhatnagar weaves a gripping tale that delves into themes of personal trauma, societal challenges, and moral dilemmas. The story revolves around Zaira, a young woman who's forced to confront her vulnerabilities and navigate a path fraught with danger, betrayal, and self discovery. A little more about the author of Zaira. Professor Vinita is an acclaimed author, scholar, and storyteller. An alumna of Lady Shri Ram College and St. Stephen's College, she has over 3 decades of an illustrious career spanning academia, storytelling, and creative writing. She was a visiting professor at the Center for Feminist Research at York University. As a storyteller, she's particularly proud of her work on the Ramayana at the Federation of Asian Storytellers. She's currently engaged in telling the story of Jayadev's Gita Govinda. Professor Vinita Dhondiyal Bhatnagar and Dr. Pradeep Kapoor will be in conversation with Dr. Jyoti Pande, who makes sense of this world through stories. Dr. Pandey tries to understand people through the narratives that they weave for others, self, and the world. With a career spanning over 3 decades, Dr. Pandey has helped a significant number of individuals rewrite their life stories and embark on journeys of healing and self discovery. As a distinguished psychologist, transformational coach, and acclaimed storyteller, she has transformed the therapeutic landscape by integrating narrative techniques into her practice. She's been awarded as one of the 50 most innovative storytellers in India at the World Storytelling Congress. She trains teachers, corporates, army officers, she's an army wife herself, and women through her space, Soul Katha. I invite you all to begin the discussion.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much. It happens very rarely that you are in conversation with people you know very well. As for Dr. Kapoor, I have known him, I don't know, very, very, very long. Vinita, of course, I have known her for almost 12 years now. We met in Singapore at the Federation of Storytellers when both of us were attending it. Federation of Southeast Asian Storytellers. Dr. Kapoor, I remember when he would come home from Sindhia, his eyes glued to a book always. And of course, I did not know that time that this will lead to him being such a established author. And I feel the conversation would be like घर की बात की रोज ही बात होती रहती है. But I'm still nervous because the idea here is to make it formal and bring out the beauty of the books they both have written as authors, which is very important. So, as for Dr. Kapoor, we all know he's a child specialist, and it's a joke in the family. Whenever I'm sick, I call him up, and my husband says, "Grow up, he's a child specialist." But for us, he's a family doctor. I have known him as a very chilled out father, a fabulous partner. Dr. Kapoor and Dr. Neil Kapoor can give relationship goes to almost anyone. She's sitting here. And it's such an honor to be talking to him about his book, which I have read. And let me tell you, I just couldn't put it down. I had to go to a dentist, the book went with me. I had to go to the airport to pick someone up, and the book went with me. I just couldn't put it down. It is so engrossing. And I honestly feel it should be made into a super duper hit movie. That is what my wishes are for him. As for Vinita, this is her first book, and it feels so good that somebody, a storyteller from your fraternity, has written a book. And it gives me so much of hope that someday maybe I would be able to do that. It's a beautiful book, it is full of romance, friendship. It is a crime thriller. I was expecting Vinita to write a romantic book, honestly, you know. And for a person who is a die-hard romantic, both these books, left me speechless. And I'm drawn to more of murder mystery now. So, to begin the session, I would like both Dr. Kapoor and Dr. Vinita to tell us about their book.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am thankful to the organizers of Bhopal Literature and Art Festival for giving me this opportunity to interact with such an august audience. She is a crime thriller, but with an inbuilt element of mystery, which is unraveled right at the end. So it's a crime novel, it's a thriller, and it's a mystery book, all three rolled into one. Regarding the synopsis of the book, which I've been told to describe right in the beginning of the session. So, with thrillers and mystery books, it's really difficult not to give away spoilers. So I have made a synopsis which I'm going to quickly read out, which will give you a broad idea of what this book is about. A synopsis. A woman rents an isolated house. She makes the basement her workstation. Searches are made on the laptop and prints out taken. Gradually, the entire plan is put up on the basement wall. The list of to do things is prepared and a tick mark is placed after completion. First, learning about sedatives and hypnotics, memorizing YouTube videos of radial artery in the wrist, purchase of nylon rope, 4 plastic aprons, and 4 sets of white plastic alphabets. Preparing a kit containing scalpel, blades, sticking plaster, sedatives. Photos of 4 men are stuck on the wall. Below are written their current addresses, professions, marital status, and interests. The scenic town of Rangpur, I have changed the name, but throughout the book you will find a lot of locations which will rhyme. Habibganj Thana is titled Hasanganj Thana. Maharana Pratap Nagar is called Maharana Nagar. Govindpur Thana is, of course, Govindpura. So the scenic town of Rangpur is in a grip of fear. A serial killer is on the loose. Saten Singh, an electronic goods dealer, Chetan Chhabra, gym owner, and Randeep Rathore, a builder, all have been killed in identical fashion. They have been tied with nylon rope, their radial arteries are cut, and they have bled to death. 6 alphabets A, B, E, R, S, U are found lying at the crime site, soaked in victim's blood. A beautiful woman has been captured on CCTV cameras at all the sites, giving it a lust crime angle. Most of her face is covered by large goggles. The media goes wild. The spectacle anchor Gappi Gosai has a shouting match on his channel. He hyperventilates. The nation wants to know what the police are doing. Will they ever catch the femme fatale or the killings will continue? The case is assigned to SP Kunal Khanna of the crime branch. Kunal sets up a war room. He examines CDRs of all the victims. Different SIMs were used in each case and all are now out of use. He puts up an evidence board on the wall. Photos of 3 victims are pinned on it in a sequential order. Lower down in the center are written split radial arteries and ABERSU. An arrow points down towards a box in which is pinned a grainy picture of the woman, the mysterious killer. There's a chance meeting between Kunal Khanna and his school friend Aniket Arora. There's a lot of catching up to do. They decide to meet over dinner soon. Kunal compliments Aniket over his mustache with ends curling up. Meanwhile, she befriends taxi fleet owner Akash Arya and lures him to Sterlite Resort. Kunal successfully establishes a pattern and suddenly it hits him who the 4th victim is going to be. The 4th member of the quartet of seniors at his school, Akash Arya. After Saten Singh, Chetan Chhabra, and Randir Rathore, he is the only surviving member of the group. He finds out Akash's office, where the guard tells him that Sahab has gone to Sterlite Resort with a woman in a red Swift. Kunal rushes to the resort. He finds Akash's body in a room. His radials are cut, and 6 alphabets ABERSU are lying in his blood. He sits down beside the body. Picking up a pencil, Kunal moves the alphabets ABERSU, becomes abuser. Kunal dashes out and drives like a maniac and finally sees the red Swift up ahead in traffic. The Swift stops in front of an isolated house. She enters the house and from behind the curtain sees Kunal Khanna getting down. She quickly leaves through the back door and dissolves into the darkness. Kunal enters the house. There is no trace of the woman. What he finds inside is a drawer. What he finds inside a drawer takes his breath away. It's an old photograph of his with someone he knew very well. The story turns on its head from this point. So please do read She to unravel the mystery.
And it is a crime thriller. But I love this about Dr. Kapoor. There's so much of humor in it. One line particularly I like it. भाड़ में जाए रेरा सब तेरा मेरा भाड़ में जाए रेरा. This is a contractor and he often says these lines openly.
He's a land mafia, doesn't bother about rules. So this is his pet line.
So, yeah, Vinita.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming out. I can see a lot of friends. Without my spectacles, I can't see a lot more. So put up your hands. I can see some hands. And when I wear my specs, I will. Thank you very, very much. Jyoti ji, before I start the summary, I want to tell you that you said I'm a storyteller. It gives you hope. So I'm going to tell you a story. 2012, I was just comparing here, and I just announced into the audience, unbidden, unpermitted. I said Bhopal Literature Festival होना चाहिए. तो हुआ, and it came true. जो इस हॉल में आपने कह दिया ना वो होगा. हाँ, मैं कह रही हूँ यहाँ पे. और भोपाल लिटरेचर फेस्टिवल हो गया. अब आप देखो उसी जगह पे. नाउ आई एम एन ऑथर वेयर आई वाज अ कंपेयर. सो this is the place for manifestation. So we are coming next year and reading Jyoti's book. As yes, as for the summary, I don't know if you can see the cover of the book and take a guess. Well, I'm not opening it out right now, but Zaira is a story of a girl. It's set completely in Bhopal, and it's a Bhopali girl called Zaira. And Zaira is just like I am. I'm starstruck. I still am. So Zaira is starstruck. She's crazy about this actress Laila. And Laila reaches Bhopal airport, sees her fans chasing her, and takes off in a motorcycle, waving at them, teasing them, but she goes off. And Zaira is chasing with her friend, and Laila falls off the bridge and dies. And the rest of the story is Zaira coming to terms with the fact that she might have caused Laila's death, and the fact that um, Laila, what she imagined Laila was and what she hero worshipped, maybe Laila wasn't all that. So it's a story about Zaira trying to figure out who was Laila and who is Zaira. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So don't put the mic down. I have another question for you before I go to Dr. Kapoor. This journey from professor to a storyteller and now to a crime crime thriller writer. I want to know the backstory. As a storyteller, I'm very, very intrigued. How did this all happen? And I'm sure the audience also want to know how did this happen? Tell us all about it.
I wish I could say it's a success story, but it's not. This is all I ever wanted to do. I wanted to write. I wanted to be in Bharat Bhavan and talk to you. It's taken me about 58 years to get here. And in between, yeah, well, in between, I had to earn my living, and I was writing. It wasn't that I wasn't writing. I wasn't good enough, so nobody is publishing me. And people who would read it would say, character nahi jamra. So I got into storytelling, and I started to realize some things which are wrong with my writing. And storytelling, Jyoti has told you that we met at Feast. She's forgotten she was my teacher. She taught me storytelling. And one of the things that she said to me as a storyteller is still something I'm struggling with as a writer, to slow down, even as a speaker. So if I go too fast, let me know. So, to slow down, to take my time, to not imagine that people are going to get bored and walk away. So, this is where I was trying to come to, but I just भटकते 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 अब जाके पहुंचे हैं जहां पहुंचना है.
पहुंच तो गए. शुक्र है, पहुंच तो गए. So, Dr. Kapoor, your journey from a gold medalist to a child specialist, and I mean, you have written many books, 11 of them. And from writing books on parenting to love story, cricket, and this crime thriller. How did it all happen?
You have never told me to be brief, so I wouldn't be brief. Our house was always full of books, and that love affair with the books started when my grandfather used to come from Agra. There's a Children Book Trust office and a press in Agra. So he used to bring us books from Children Book Trust along with kites, which are also very popular from Agra. So I loved flying kites and I loved reading books. Then my father, whenever I used to come from the boarding school, he used to bring me to British Council Library, which was in those days located near Ban Ganga behind the Ravin Bhavan area. So we used to get books issued, read them. Before that, uh, he was also a member of Hind Pocket Books. And there was every month we used to order 4 books from the catalog. One was for us children. One was his Shairi books because he had a huge collection and huge interest in that. So Sahir Ludhianvi, Faiz, Ghalib, Gopal Das Neeraj, all those collections were there in the house. And 2 books, 2 novels, adult novels were also ordered. So when my father was in the house in the evening, naturally I used to read the book, the children's book purchased for me. And when he was in the office, I used to read his Gulshan Nandas and Acharya Chatur Sens and all those things. So I was hooked onto books right at that age. And then during my schooling, we had Platinum Jubilee celebrations. And we were told that told to write stories, and the best 3 would be published in the Platinum Jubilee issue of the school review. So I wrote a story about catching a poisonous snake because I had seen that snake around the hostel garden. And in my vivid imagination, I would catch him by putting a basket and hanging it with a string and dropping it right at the moment. I never caught the snake, but the story got published. And that was a film. So, and then came a long hiatus because I was involved in medical education, my medical education, and setting up my practice. But see, once that bug has bitten you, it never goes away. That writing bug raised its head again, and I started writing for newspapers and magazines. Fortunately, internet and computers had arrived in a small way by that time. So I got published in quite a few magazines and newspapers. One day, my story on small cars, why they are popular in India and what is their future, which I had written after a labor of 15 days. I found, while coming back from a walk, I found it samosa being sold in that story. So that was the day I decided that probably I should write a book which would have more shelf life than a magazine article which in which samosa was being sold the very next day. So I decided to write The Incorrigible Hostel Boys. I was still stuck in my school phase. No one responded. There was no takers for that book. Pustak Mahal people told me, since you are a pediatrician, why don't you write a book which is from your specialty? So they suggested a title, How to Prevent Inferiority Complex in Your Children. So I found it a bit negative. So I decided to write a positive book, and I titled it Make Your Child a Winner. And made a synopsis and sent it to Penn Macmillan, HarperCollins, Rupa. And fortunately, everyone responded. HarperCollins and Macmillan told me that they'll probably take 1 to 2 years to publish it. But Rupa people were very prompt. They said, within 6 books, your book would be out on the stands. So I went along with Rupa, and that book, Make Your Child a Winner, turned out to be a big winner. It got translated into 6, 7 languages. And then came a series of parenting books. Next one was Common Sense Parenting. Then came 101 Health Problems of Children. Then uh, one day I received a call from Mr. Kapish Mehra. He's MD Rupa Publications that we want a more contemporary book now. So we were just thinking aloud, talking to each other, and he came up with, why don't you write something on the lines of smart kids, smart parents, smarter kids. So I said, "Ki, this is the title of the book. We'll stick with it." So finally, we came out with the title "Smart Parents, Smarter Kids," and it did very well. And the last of the series was Ultimate Guide to Modern Parenting. So in these 5 books, 3 were co-authored by Dr. Neil Kamal Kapoor with me, and then I switched track as, and I went on to started writing fiction. And the first one was Fosla. I'm being a bit long. So FOSLA is an acronym most youngsters would identify with it. Frustrated One-Sided Lovers Association. And the bottom line was loving and living in a medical college. So it became very popular with the younger generation, especially medical students. It's based in a medical college hostel. It's a rom-com based in. So you will, and after that I wrote a tale of two nights that has MIC gas tragedy at the as its backdrop. So you will see that all along I've been sticking to my forte. First parenting, then medical college, medical hostel book, then a book on MIC gas tragedy because I had worked in gas relief department. I had worked with the patient, so I knew the whole background. And
What about honeymoon?
I'm coming to that. Next one was The Last Ball Six. It's a hilarious saga of a cricket fan, mad cricket fan. We all are. So all they say that Bollywood and cricket, these are the two things they always sell in India. Then I switched to writing crime. That was destined because I was a big fan of crime writers, right from the days of Agatha Christie to Earl Stanley Gardner, then coming to James Headley Chase, then Alistair MacLean, Robert Ludlum, and Sidney Sheldon, Ian Rankin, Walter Mosley, and recently Harlan Coben and Kiga Higashino. His book, The Devotion of Suspect, as is hugely popular. He, I've read his three books. So this was all part of my journey about the books which I wrote. And the message that comes out of this is whenever you plan to write, stick to the field you belong to, about which you have real knowledge. Then the book will come out well, it will be authentic, and it will get published and would be liked by people.
Thank you so much. And yeah, it's a lesson for me now. Stick to my field, which is probably stories. So my book should come out on stories. Vinita, I mean, I know you, and I always expected that you would write a book based on romance or friendship or whatever. Why crime thriller? I mean, I could never imagine Vinita writing a crime thriller. But I mean, was it in response to something happening in the society, or you had always thought of writing a crime thriller? There is a lot of love and friendship, and everything is there in that book, but basically, it's a crime thriller. So tell me about it.
Um, why didn't I write a love story? Because I haven't had a love story. मैं गम बताऊं? So, whenever two people meet in my novel or in my stories, they meet, they get to know each other. One of them murders the other. I think I need a psychologist. I I can't help it. It's automatic. It just and I wonder about that because as you said, this is the impression I want to. I'm a teacher, so I want to be loving and affectionate. And then when I write, it's almost always so. But I did read crime. So the bigger question for me, frankly, was that I'm a PhD in literature, and I've studied literature with a capital L. And for people who study literature, crime and romance are both, like they're small L. You're not supposed to read them. Forget writing them. And now this was my problem. And my problem is also having read Shakespeare and having read, um, George Bernard Shaw. I compare my writing with that and say, nahi, 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 nahi ho pa raha. Huh? I suddenly realized don't compare with them. Compare with Sarita. And then once I could free myself of that block, I was able to write. So that's been the story. And because I'm short, I'm going to take this chance also to thank Raghavji because I think without my spectacles, I do think he's come in. Has he come in? Then would everyone please clap for him? Yes, because he's made Bhopal literature. Like I was telling you before he came in, I wanted this so much. And he's made it happen. Not even, he didn't even know I exist, but he's made this happen. And then the morning, what he said about this becoming a UNESCO city of literature, oh my God, I'm floating. Inshallah hoga. Yes.
Hoga, hoga, zarur hoga. You said it's a place of manifestation,
Yeah.
and let's do that. So, coming to you, Dr. Kapoor, I've always been intrigued by the process of writing, which by the authors. How do they do it? And especially for you, you're always short of time. Whenever we have invited him for dinner, if it's at 7, he manages to come at 11. So he's always short of time. How, with your kind of commitments, did you find time to write and the process of writing? How do you develop the ideas?
I'm not that bad. Never came at
Exaggerating.
11.
I was exaggerating.
See, if you have passion for something, you do find time for it. And I am the happiest when I am writing. There's a saying that which I keep repeating whenever I get a chance to repeat it, that if you want to become a writer, you need to become possessed and remain possessed. Without that, you can't finish a book. And regarding finding time, if you, I, I write wherever I find time. I have written since the devices have come. I have written on waiting in the airport, in the aircraft, in the on the railway platform, inside the railway bogie. So you can find time if you really have that inclination. Yes, your families bear the brunt, and I'm thankful to Dr. Neil Kamal and my children who haven't disowned me yet.
Do you consult her that this is the idea? Does it look good? And then she gives you, a thumbs up, and then you start writing, or you kind of complete the
Yeah,
thing.
there's a process to it. When an idea comes and when it remains stuck in my subconscious, then I bounce it with my partner in crime. And if she is also excited about it, then we then I write a synopsis and I keep refining it until I turn it into a book. I firmly believe there is no good writing. There is good rewriting. So you have to keep refining your drafts and finally pitching. Before pitching it, you have to go through several drafts and refine your writing.
Right. I also agree. I mean, either you write a very, very novel or different thing, or you write differently, right? And that makes it so exciting. Vinita, your characters, Zaira and Jay. So when I was reading the book, I said, I'm very sure they must be Vinita students, and she has picked them up and kind of put them in the book. And so I want to know from you, your characters. I mean, where do you get the motivation? How do you build your characters? Are they somebody or you kind of really create them?
Okay, good question, because this is exactly where my fiction was failing. Every time I wrote a story, people said it moves well, but we don't get the characters. And finally, it took a long time. I don't know if my HOD Bhashaji is here, but we were working on something together. And I realized that if I base it on people I know, so all of you better watch out, um, then the character speaks and people say, yes, this is believable. So I did take help from a friend of mine. I'll not name her because I don't, but I made her read through many manuscripts, many versions of the manuscript to say, what would you wear in a situation like this? What would you say in a situation like this? So, yes, I am inspired. And some of my students are sitting right here. Siddhant is right here. Not that he inspired Zaira, he's not Zaira in disguise, but there is sometimes, I mean, I know that this relationship between a teacher and student, you're supposed to be on a pedestal, but sometimes a student comes along and you kind of admire them. You feel that this person has a strength and a courage and a resilience that maybe I don't have, or to that same extent. So yes, to some extent, my students do inspire me. And I love teaching, I love being with them. And it's a two-way flow. It's not that I teach, I learn too, because sometimes they just come like a miracle of God, very strong characters. And yeah, then I try to capture them in my work. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. So maybe if I read a book sometimes in future and I see the character of a storyteller, my
Mhm.
antenna should be up,
Yes.
you know?
Huh.
Regarding the process of writing, I would like to say something. Generally, writers they find a beginning and then they go forward towards the end. My style is I have to crack the ending first. If I have conceived the ending, then I go backwards towards how I'm going to open it. And basically, for any good book, you have to grab the reader by his neck during the first few pages and drag him along the middle and propel him towards the fantastic ending. That makes a bestseller.
That's really interesting. And apart from that, I was just reading somewhere that authors have this quirky habit, like Agatha Christie would, be in the bathtub and get her ideas chewing the apples, and Dan Brown would hang upside down to process the ideas of a book, and somebody would just shut the door or go to a hotel room to write. Any quirky habit which you can afford to have as an author?
I am allowed the liberty of writing. That is the. But yes, I also read somewhere that a writer used to. He had a lamp bulb on his door, and whenever he was writing, it was switched on. That meant no one is to enter and disturb him. But we don't have that. I don't have that kind of liberty. If I'm really concentrating, or there is some intricate part that I have to write, I do need silence. But that's all. Nothing beyond it.
What about you, Vinita?
I'm born quirky, so everything about me is quirky. And all my friends know that. In fact, they're always a little nervous about what's going to happen next. I also want to say that Dr. Saab बहुत अच्छे role model हैं. He told you you should have a plan, you should work from the end to the back. जैसे मैं लाइफ में भटकी वैसे मेरी स्टोरीज भटकते हैं. When I try to have a beginning and a middle and an end, it's so boring. My text doesn't move. So now what I've started to do is I write. I don't care where it's going. I let the words speak to me and let the story tell itself and let the characters tell themselves. And not that I'm saying it's perfect, but that's my quirkiness now because and that's my journey now is to be open and to kind of look at people. The other thing you were saying was that will there be a storyteller? तनीष जी अगर यहाँ बैठी हैं पता नहीं हाथ ऊपर करने कहाँ हाँ. So she knows I'm writing my next novel, and I did think that I would base it on characters that I know and love. And just a week ago, I suddenly realized that when I love somebody, I'm blind, and I really don't write well at all. I'll have to write about people I don't like. वो बुराई करने में जो मजा है ना वो अच्छाई करने में नहीं है. So so that's going to be the quirkiness is I'm going to look for people I don't like.
As a therapist, I know it'll be very therapeutic writing about people you don't know incognito.
Uh,
So that would be interesting. Also, Vinita, a beautiful thing that I saw in your book is relationship between Jay and Zaira, the friendship. Though the book has romance and friendship, crime, glamour, all the ingredients of a nice chart. The book has. But this thing stood out for me: the friendship between Jay and Zaira. So, what is your take on friendship and love? Is what I would want to
well,
know.
all my friends are here, and I've got to say that I romance my friends. I don't. I don't see love. I don't know why we put love as the ultimate relationship, and that one relationship between a man and a woman as the perfect relationship or the only relationship. I think my friends have been. I'm the opposite of a self-made man. I'm a others-made woman. And all the ones who made me are all sitting here. I just cannot lie. I need for everything. I check with everything. And like I said, I can be crazy. I'm also blind, as I told you. So, all the weaknesses, all the problems that possibly anybody could have. And I get by with the help of my friends. So, I just have to make friendship the great relationship in my books.
Thank you so much. And it very, very clearly stood out the beauty of friendship in her book. And one last question, and I think the time is running out. What's coming out next from Dr. Kapoor's kitchen, if I may say so?
Uh, Before that, I would there's something about characters which Vinita has been talking about. Actually, your story is your characters. The stronger, the clearer, the more impactful they are, the better the story would be. Once you have cracked the characters and how you do them, they should be relatable. Mostly, if you have seen someone and you have based your character on that person, then that character is going to stand out. In addition to that, you should also include their backstories, because during a novel, why a person is behaving like that, why he is talking like that, why he's doing what he's doing. If you know the backstory, नहीं ये तो ऐसे ही बन के आया है, इसके ये problems थी बचपन, then you are able to relate to that character. And long after you have forgotten the story, you are going to remember the characters. It's the characters which really matter. Most of you would have seen Money Heist during the lockdown days. We have forgotten the story, but we still remember Professor, who used to talk with pauses, was a reticent person, used to talk in a very mild tone. We remember Tokyo, we remember Nairobi, we remember Berlin. These are all standout characters. So once you have to concentrate on your characters. Once they are well defined, your book is made.
The
And
stronger the character,
yeah,
the better would be the
and
book.
I'm coming out with a story based on cybercrime. Uh, ins- uh, Instagram follower becomes possessed, becomes obsessed, starts stalking, and then commits a crime.
We are surely looking forward to that. And Vinita, you have already said your next book is you're
My
in the
next
process of.
book is based on aging because I'm aging, and also because it's so thrilling. I mean, race against time. What can I contribute, and what meaning can I derive, and what fun can I have before? So it's the ultimate murder mystery, isn't it? You're going to go. So that's what the next one is going to be about. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And before we end the session, this is special because Dr. Kapoor will be announcing about Begum's Treasure or Vinita, the murder mystery hunt, for which Vinita will tell you in detail.
Okay. Okay. And just keep changing as I keep speaking because, as I said, I can't see. So, all right. The murder mystery hunt. Dun, dun, dun. And I have to thank Raghavji for giving this thrilling thing. I want this every year, please. For me, I want to do this. And also, Anzar wrote the basic story. So here it is 1886, 3 years of Jashna Bhopal. For 13 years, the palace of the queen has been under construction. And now that it's completed, Jashna Bhopal. But the Begum has a celebration, and there is a dancer who's come from Agra. There is a revolutionary, a suspected revolutionary, an 1857 revolutionary who has taken refuge in Bhopal. There is a poet who's writing, Zafar, who's writing poetry. There is a Hakim who travels with the Begum everywhere because the Begum, after the death of her husband, has not been very well. She's depressed. She has health issues. And there is the major, the political agent at Indore. And they all come for this Jashna Bhopal, and the agent says, I want to see your jewels. I hear you've got emeralds and rubies. And so they all go into the Tehkana and they look at the trunk full of jewels, and each one of them is tempted. The jewels go missing. The guard is dead. Help the Begum find the killer. So further details of this, Simraj is here somewhere. Tomorrow morning, yes, there will be at 11 o'clock, the standee will be put up with all the rules. And 11 o'clock sharp, you'll be given the pages and the treasure hunt begins. All right. Thank you. Okay. And the question. And oh, yes, please. Yes. Yes. Can you go back to the PPT? Should I ask the question? Okay, question. And if that, yeah, suspects are here. So, without my specs, Fatima Agawali, Kathak dancer, Major Gresho, who's the political agent, the colonial empire would use that fortune. Zafar Bhopali, famed Urdu poet, and like all writers, broke probably. The jewels could help him. Maqsood Khan is a suspected revolutionary. At least Greshaw thinks he's a revolutionary. Hakim Abdul Latif is an old man who is the Begum's doctor, personal doctor. And Rustam Singh is the guard on duty. Well, he can't be the suspect, can he? Well, we'll see. He can be. All right. And here's the question. And if that hand goes up from the side, then I'm going to give her the chance first because she was there all through the last session. Who is considered, and I'm not saying they are, I'm saying who is considered the father of the crime novel? Father. You can guess. And yes, guess.
Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
No. And I will add, yeah, you take some guesses, otherwise I can add some more hints. Father? Well, maybe, but we don't know yet. Um, so he was an American crime novelist who died a mysterious death. Uh, okay, 1840, I think he was in the 19th century. Well, I love the guesses, but sir, आपको तो पता होगा. Okay, Raymond Chandler, 19th century, late 19th century. Yes. Huh. So who? So it's not the crow. It's another name for the crow. Stephen King, 19th century? Huh?
चलेगा ही नहीं यार.
Yes, Crime Writers Award. Somebody has to tell us. Okay, I'm going to be really the teacher who helps you cheat. I'm used to it. Okay, so it rhymes with this. Whatever you know, wherever you go, never forget Edgar Allan. Give him the prize. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. Yes.
The crow gets the prize. It's the raven, yes.
I couldn't just remember the name.
Yeah, the raven.
Raven was the name of the.
Congratulations. This is a book by Dale Carnegie, which will give you all the tools to live an enriched life. We thank our authors and discussants for such a fun session about our very own city, Bhopal, the crime thriller set in Bhopal by our authors from Bhopal. And I would request Mr. Raghav Chandra, Mr. Abhilash, Mr. Abhilash Khandekar to present the BLF memento to our experts. the BLF 2025 memento, which is an artwork by Bhuri Baiji. Abhilash ji felicitating Dr. Pradeep Kapoor, Dr. Jyoti Pande, and Professor Vinita Dhondiyal Bhatnagar.
We'll give you the one. Yeah, whatever. Thank you.
Thank you. What an entertaining session.
मजा आ गया आपकी के बाद यूज करो almost there you were almost there sure we have the last session which will be about Sahil Ludhianvi जिनको रुचि है मुझे यकीन है जिनको उनके गीतों से प्यार है वो जरूर बैठे रहेंगे so I'll just take a couple of minutes and request everybody to settle down. और हाँ आगे की सीट्स खाली हो गई है जो लोग आगे आना चाहें जिन्हें एकदम HD क्वालिटी का व्यू चाहिए प्लीज fill up the seats in the front we also have अगर किसी को नीचे बैठने में मुश्किलात है तो मेरे दाहिने तरफ कुछ चेयर्स रखी हुई हैं वहां पे भी आके आप विराजमान हो सकते हैं
Mind you, just be here in case we need you.